Hey, all right, everyone. Welcome to the newest episode of Heal Thyself. As always, thank you for joining the show and taking the time out of your day. If you are watching on YouTube, guess what? The set is very different than it was before because we got a brand new set and we are celebrating the new year and the change and evolution of the show with a new set. So I got my comfy couch here. That's from Helix, and we got some beautiful photos. We have an amazing moss wall behind me with different colors, little psychedelic look, and we got the Heal Thyself logo. But for me, it was important to shift into a new space in order to allow more space to have better communication for you all, right? So what I found as we evolved is that sitting upright and on chairs with a table was making me feel very sterile. Hopefully, the opening of the couch here is allowing better conversation flow, more comforting conversation. But this is a microcosm of so much of life. As we evolve, everything is okay, right? When we first started the show, it was great. It served its purpose. It was beautiful. I was inspired. We had amazing conversations with amazing guests. I put a lot of heart into many knowledge bombs in that old set. But through evolution, now we are honoring better what is a reflection of this show and me, the host. So my hope is that you all can be inspired by the evolution of this set as being symbolic of allowing evolution into your own life and allowing evolution for growth and allowing evolution for you to embody really what serves you and what feels good in your body. And for me, right now, what feels good is a damn couch, some blankets, some pillows. We have a beautiful fluorite crystal of different colors. And there you go. So welcome to the new, improved Heal Thyself. And as always, I give you so much love and gratitude for taking the time out of your day. And man, am I excited about our first guest on this new set. It is my close friend, Blu. And Blu is one of the few people that I've met in my life who really is embodied. And I talk about authenticity so much on this show. What does it mean to remove the fear that you learn in school and society and through parental programming, whatever it is, that is holding you back from being your highest, most authentic self, right? And feeling good in that uniqueness and weirdness, or whatever you want to call it. And she's one of the people who I've met who really is just like, forget what people think. I am living without fear and I am living in the love that is me. So she's really going to dive in on topics like authenticity, living in that uniqueness, how she does it, devotion, ritual practices. And then she's a student of the Gene Keys, which is a really fantastic technology that gives you more insight into the parts of your life which you can work on that really need nurturing and the parts of your life which can really be a catalyst to massive change and why you're here. So she has my Gene Key results, the test that I took in the past, and she's going to read through it so you all get a better understanding how it looks for me. And then maybe we can take the test for ourselves. So it's going to be a really exciting episode. Without further ado, let's get to this episode with Blu. But before we do, let me say a little word from our sponsors. When it comes to athletic greens, it is my favorite green powder, period. Why? Well, it's chock full of nutrients, it's pure, it's clean, and it's one of the best tasting ones I've had out there. So I've been using athletic greens every morning for breakfast for the past 3 weeks now. The taste is the first thing that jumped out at me because it doesn't taste super earthy, super grassy, but actually has a mild tropical taste that I actually look forward to in the mornings, right? And when you do green powders, not a lot of people say that. So what's in it? 1 delicious scoop of athletic greens. You're going to be absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to start off the day right. That's why I do it for breakfast. Contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything. And again, it tastes good. It supports better sleep quality, recovery, and better mental clarity and alertness. And at a cost of less than $3 a day, you're investing in your health, right? And it's cheaper than that cold brew habit you may have or drinking really poor quality tea. Athletic Greens offers subscriptions, and with it comes a year's supply of vitamin D, which is super important to add in, especially in the winter months when we're not getting as much sunlight. And as you know, I operate fully in integrity. So I only partner with brands that I truly believe in. Athletic Greens is one of them. And they're a super great company when it comes to sustainability. For one, check this out. They're a climate neutral certified company. In 2020, they purchased carbon credits that supports projects protecting old growth rainforests. Additionally, for every purchase, they donate to organizations to help get nutritious foods to children in need, including No Kid Hungry here in the US. And in 2020, Athletic Greens donated over 1.2 million meals to children. So I want you to try out Athletic Greens. It's one of the best green powders out there. I love it. I support it. I take it every single day. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you got to do is visit athleticgreens.com/heal-thyself. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/heal-thyself to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance, Athletic Greens. Hey everyone, I want to talk about Birch Living, a partner I've been working with for some time. Now, sleep is super, super important to me. And I'm always excited to talk about Birch on my show. We know this. Birch is a premium mattress in-a-box company and makes mattresses and sleep products that are stylish, comfortable, and environmentally conscious. Some of my favorite buzzwords, right? Their organic, non-toxic mattresses are made right here in the United States. And they recently introduced the Birch Luxe Natural Mattress. It's an upgrade to the original well-loved Birch Natural Mattress. Now, the Birch Luxe takes comfort, luxury, and safety to the next level. It's crafted with responsibly sourced and sustainably produced materials, like organic cashmere, organic New Zealand wool, fair trade cotton, and 100% natural latex. With 8 different layers, the Luxe was specially created for breathability and support in mind. The natural materials allow for increased airflow that allows you to keep cool and comfortable throughout the night, and I can attest to this. I am not sweating throughout the night. I'm waking up nice and cool. The natural non-toxic latex relieves pressure points with a targeted zone lumbar support. It provides enhanced contouring. I can attest to this too. Feels like I'm being held by a cloud that is my bed. And it's really beautiful to wake up without pain and stiffness. Now, the mattress has over 1,000 individually wrapped steel coils that cradle your body and limit motion transfer. So when it comes to Birch mattresses, and here's my favorite part, they have several third-party certifications that are really, really important. It's GOT certified organic. We know the materials in there are organic. Green Guard Gold certified. We know it's not releasing those volatile organic compounds that we're breathing in that are disrupting our system. Fair Trade certified, Wool Integrity certified, and Forest Stewardship Council certified. The main things that I love about my Birch Luxe mattress is that it's clean, non-toxic, keeps me cool at night, and it relieves my pressure points so I am not hurting like I used to when I would wake up really stiff every morning. So with your Birch mattress, you get a 100-night sleep trial along with a 25-year warranty. Now, if it makes you nervous to buy something you haven't tried, you get more than 3 months to make sure you love it. And if you don't, they're going to come pick it up for you. You're going to get a full refund. Now, the best part of all of this is that Birch delivers your mattress right to your front door for free within the United States. So I love my Birch mattress, and I really think you will too. If you're looking for a new bed, check out Birch. You can click on the link below or go to birchliving.com/heal-thyself. You're going to get $400 off of your mattress and 2 free pillows. If you've been dreaming of a new mattress, don't wait any longer. You have until the end of this month, January 31st. All Birch financing offers are 0% APR. Go to birchliving.com to see if your purchase qualifies for this amazing limited time offer. Thank you, Birch. All right, one thing we know is that we need to be taking care of our gut. It impacts literally everything. When in doubt, always look at your gut, your weight, your mood, your digestion. And this is because your gut houses up to 80% of your immune system. Now, a healthy gut truly is a gateway overall to your health. Now, unfortunately, our bodies are attacked every single day. We know that it's wreaking havoc for many different reasons, stress, toxins being major ones. Even just one day of eating an inflammatory diet will start changing and disrupting your gut microbiomes. So Just Thrive's breakthrough award-winning probiotic is one of the best probiotics I have came across on the market. It's going to support your immune system, your digestive system, your mood, your overall gut health, your bowel movements. This is an incredible probiotic. It's vegan-friendly, gluten-free, dairy-free, histamine-free, and non-GMO. And one of my favorite things about this probiotic, it's clinically proven. There are multiple studies out there that are showing that Just Thrive probiotic survives the stomach acid and helps recolonize and send signals to your microbiome in order to build a healthier overall population of healthy, beneficial bacteria. Just Thrive is amazing at it. So for a limited time, you're gonna get 15% off when you go to justthrive.com and use the code DRG at checkout. Now, I know you heard me talk about NewsS in the past. It's a plant-based protein powder, and it's amazing. NewsS has been a constant recommendation at Heal Thyself, but let me tell you why. Other protein powders are not fully tested, nor are they transparent. NewsS regularly tests for gluten, dairy, soy, heavy metals, and all the other ingredients I normally tell you to stay away from, including pesticides. On top of that, The company's super transparent. They share their independent third-party testing, and they provide documents for all their products that are in their whole line. Right? It's really important to know what's going in your body, especially if you're using the product every single day. Now, the protein powders are great. They provide building blocks overall for vitality and support our muscle health. For me, who has a very sensitive system, Nuzest is very easy on my stomach. It's highly digestible and has none of the common allergens that are going to affect us when we're taking in protein powders, which you may find when you take in protein powder, you may suffer with gastrointestinal issues like bloating, constipation, diarrhea, heartburn, whatever it is. But anytime I review protein powders, Nuzest is always making the top of the top. Their peas that they utilize are grown in northern France and processed in Belgium. They use a patented water-based technology, making Nuzest one of the highest grade proteins out there, period. I want you to check out Nuzest, all the flavors across the board, passed all of the COA tests. It's really an amazing protein that I get behind completely. So for you, the Heal Thyself listener, you can get 20% off of Nuzest by going to nuzest.us/heal-thyself. Once again, that's nuzest.us/heal-thyself. Or you can go to their website and just use the coupon code Heal Thyself, and you're going to get 20% off. Thank you, Nuzest. Good? Cut for... Hey, all right, everyone, listen. Hey, all right, everyone, check this out. What an honor it is for me to have my close friends on this podcast. And what an honor it is to create the synchronous moment where I can get one of my close friends on the brand new damn podcast. My friend Blu is here, not very far. She lives right in the same area that I do. But when we cross paths, I found someone who is really embodied in the way that she can teach the deepest parts of us, the spirituality, showing up, but then infuse that with personality and love and play and jokes and humor. And the way that she weaves them both and shows up in the world is one of the most incredible talents that I've ever seen. And I myself aspire so much to be like her. So Blu is on the show. She is a podcaster. She has the Deja Blu Podcast, which I have been on. Many of you have listened to. And she's the founder of Fluorescence. That is a women's
mystery
school, which I'm going to find out what the mystery is. And she's a student of the Gene Keys. And the Gene Keys is a very particular program and system where we can find out much about our life paths. And guess what? She's got my Gene Key right next to her. So she's going to be reading about my life path. So y'all got to know me a little bit better too.
It's like holding a magical crystal ball into your life.
Into my life. And also she has an amazing accent. So here we go. Blu is here.
Yay!
Welcome to our new set. First guest.
I feel so profoundly honored that I am the first guest on your new set.
Yeah.
And this incredible wall with the name of your podcast, it's your psychedelic moss. And you're wearing an earring and a kimono today.
Oh, let me tell you something. This is the first show, I'm like, forget it, I'm just gonna wear a kimono. And then I was like putting on my kimono and I was like, forget it, I'm just gonna put on my dangly, empowered golden earring that, really puts me in my authenticity. And I realized it wasn't just a celebration of authenticity for my first show, it was a permission of knowing that my friend, who literally embodies that, gave me without you even knowing.
No.
Once I saw, okay, here at 2:00 she's gonna be here, we're gonna do this. And I'm so excited.
That's the greatest gift, to know that just knowing that we're gonna hang out and your thought pattern just shifts a degree to the right to go, you know what, I'm actually going to be a little bit more of myself right now.
Right.
What an amazing gift that a friendship or an individual that is just allowing themselves to be embodied gives to others without even realizing unconsciously the power of us claiming a deeper level of ourselves, the gift that it gives to other people to go, you know what, I'm going to wear my colorful kimono today because I get to be a little bit more about myself when I'm around this person.
But that's the gift, right? When you can embody yourself. So there's so many people who always ask, hey, Dr. G, why am I so scared to be me? Why are we so scared to be us? What's holding us back from that authenticity?
I mean, there can be many, many different things based on the unique circumstance, but mostly because if you just look at the way that the majority of our educational system is based off of the same grading scale. You get put in a classroom and you're all graded from the same scale and then placed whether you're a successful student or a not successful student based off of this one test that everyone takes as the same. We're all conditioned and programmed to fit into an ice cube tray of humanity. And when you're a little bit different, you get ostracized and jeered at and joked at, so that any expression that's just a little bit different gets shut down. And the creative process, or the process of sharing ourselves, is as delicate as a flower opening. It needs the right amount of sunlight and the right amount of soil and the right amount of water for it to be able to bloom properly. But if there's too much water thrown on it in its early stages, it will not fully bloom. However, if a flower is not fully bloomed, then it can't share its fragrance with the world. So it's so important that we recognize that our uniqueness is our power. Our uniqueness is our magnetic pull for the people around us. However, there's a lot of fear that's created because, for the most part, we got pushed through an education system that it promoted sameness at all degrees. And if you didn't fit in, then you were on the outside. But actually, the new cool is on the outside. When you're scribbling outside the lines, that is actually the fun place to be. And so when you dress up and you give yourself full permission, and and you're at a party and you walk down the stairs wearing something like sparkly, and you're like, oh, I'm here, da, 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 and everyone gets lit up and their faces all smile, and the sun starts being lit in the space. It's because you gave yourself permission to scribble outside the lines.
Hell yeah.
It's refreshing.
Oh my God, it feels so good. And what I found is that my self-expression is most easy, of course, around people who I know it's safe around, people like you. What I found is the difficulty is like when I'm outside of that, right? Let's say in a public place where I don't know anyone, or in a workplace where I know everyone, but still, it's really difficult sometimes, right?
I actually had this the other day. We were on a flying to Montana. I bought this incredible coat from Etsy.
Oh, tell me more about it.
It was a beautiful, handmade, custom coat from a Turkish artist that is super out there. Like, I look like, Andre said I look like Mrs. Claus. Like, it had like a faux fur around the wrist, around the side, and it was all hand sewn, and it's like all these bright colors. And I'm getting on this tiny plane going to Montana, right? And I'm wearing this outrageous coat to the point where like the fur is like fluffing people in the face while I'm like moving down the aisle, and I like get up to go to the bathroom here, and I'm just like, would you like me to hold your coat? I was like, no, I'm gonna wear it, But there was a part of me that was like, is this too much? Is this actually a little bit too much? Because I wasn't the dominating frequency anymore. And what I mean by dominating frequency is when you go into a room full of people that are also unapologetically unique, you're all the dominating frequency. So when someone walks in with sneakers and a Gap hoodie, they feel a little bit out of place. But you place the majority of people wearing jeans and a hoodie, and then you're wearing a Mrs. Claus coat from Etsy, all of a sudden not dominating frequency anymore. So it's not as easy, but that's where the work happens, because it's an invitation of going, hey, what part of myself am I not giving permission to fully claim my uniqueness as my power in this moment? Because it's easy when everyone else is doing it. But when everyone else is not doing it, can you stay authentic to what lights you up on the inside out?
Ooh, and that's an uncomfortable feeling, but empowering at the same time, because you're like, I'm doing this.
Exactly.
I remember I wore my first outrageous kimono and crazy whatever headpiece that I was wearing, like on my morning walk at 8 a.m., totally. Like, what are you doing? It's not even like midday, and certainly not nighttime outfits where you could wear more outrageous stuff. That's a story.
Yeah.
But like walking around, and I was like, oh, what am I doing? Maybe I should just put on a hoodie and some earth tones. But walking through, I was like, nah, fuck it. I'm wearing what I'm wearing, and I feel good.
Yes, because it's the universe doesn't speak French or English or German or Spanish. The universe speaks energy, right? So what can make you feel really good might not actually empower another individual. This is why it's about listening to your own unique feeling. But when you place this on, something shifts. Like when I place a nice silk dress on, I start walking with my shoulders back and my heart forward and my head's up a little bit more, and I feel like I'm gliding across the floor because the archetype is activated through the outfit. And so my closet is an altar of archetypes that can be activated within me. So do I want to wear the blue wig today and be this version of myself? Do I want to I wore dungarees the other day in a beanie, and I was the skater boy version of myself, and today I'm a little bit more of the elegant side of myself. But we're actually like a diamond, and there's 64 faces of the diamond. It's the same diamond, But where we get stuck and the energy stops flowing in our life is become identified with one face of the diamond, and we just stay like that for the rest of our lives. What does it look like if we become, as myself, the mother, the lover, the student, the crone, the inner child, the seductress, all of the artist? Because with every breath, we can reinvent ourselves into what is alive, but a feel-good feeling.
Exactly that, right?
And then the feel-good feeling is responded to by the universe.
Because that's the frequency that we're putting out.
Exactly.
And the interesting thing is that I hear all of these things, and we are everything. So it's not like the story is that we are not the seductress or the mother or whatever it is, the nurturer. We are everything, so we can tap into all of that. Really, it's what feels good in your body.
Right.
Does it feel good when I'm in my hypermasculine? Well, maybe today it does, right? And maybe I'm doing all the things that I needed to. How about when I'm really sassy and I'm coming down the stairs shining like Elton John on Halloween? Whoa, this feels really good. Now I feel like just dancing and partying, you know? Tapping into, and that's been my barometer. It's like, what feels good, what opens my chest? And I it's very palpable when I'm not being me. It's like my chest is closed, my breathing is short, my heart is closed, and then my stomach is just like contracted. It's like it's like waiting for someone to punch it. But when I'm me, I'm just like, oh my God, it's like post-sex, right? You're just like, oh, my body just gets a break and my nervous system is just relaxed and the hormones are just pumping and I feel great. How do we encourage more people to have that understanding that they have permission? Is it really just us being us and putting and honoring ourselves and then putting that frequency out where people go, I want more of that?
Well, first and foremost, the permission can never come from anyone else but ourselves, right? Like someone can say, like, hey, I'm going to show up in my fullness, and it can inspire. But ultimately, the choice has to come from within of going, this is actually what I want. Because first and foremost, people will judge what they don't understand, right? So like when someone shows up and they're wearing something outrageous and I'm sort of like, continuing to stay in this sort of dulled down version of myself, that's going to be very confronting when someone's in their fullness and their expression. So because I don't really understand their mindset behind it, I'll judge it and therefore won't let it in. However, because when we're judging, another being, we're ultimately just judging an aspect of ourselves that's not fully has awareness sent into it. However, if there's a genuine desire of going, hey, when I was a kid, I used to dress up in all of these clothes. When I was 8 years old, I used to put on shows for my parents. I was so fabulous. And then I went to school and then something shifted and I tried to be cool and I tried to fit in. Cue people pleaser energy, which is like constantly wanting validation to create some sort of essence of belonging, So these layers get crusted over our unique expression. However, if there's a genuine desire of going, hey, when I was a kid, I used to express myself so much more. This is an amazing seed that is still waiting to germinate, and it's just being incubated by this wall of fear that says, oh, it's dangerous to be different, it's dangerous to be weird, because remember that one time when you were 8 and you wore that thing and that kid at school laughed and jeered at you, so it's better to stay here. Well, if that desire goes, hey, actually, you know what, I want to reactivate that person inside of me, then once that desire is there, the invitation is to feel into what feels uncomfortable. So I have clients that I work with, and anyone that has a bit of a challenge around uniqueness being their expression, I set them a challenge to go to the grocery store or go do something regular, but to dress up in the most outrageous outfit possible and not to tell anybody that this is an exercise. So, bright blue wig and crazy fur coat, whatever, and dressing up, face paint on, and go and do your regular errands that day and see what comes up for you and journal. Because every story that comes up is a story that is encapsulated your truest unique essence. But every single person on this planet, all 7.8 billion people on this planet, have a unique fingerprint, have a unique expression. And when we can start to peel back the layers of that, what that uniqueness is going to be different for everybody, but it's actually the seed of the greatest gift to the world. Because it's frequency, it's energy that gets emanated when we are unique. And when we're actually honoring our true uniqueness, that's when we attract the people around us that are also walking a similar path. Because if we're not home in our uniqueness, how on earth are we going to receive the gift of life? It's like ordering a FedEx package but not being home to receive the gift. We must be home to receive the gifts of the universe that are always ready to be poured into us. Specifically, our unique frequency, our uniqueness will attract our tribe, our vibe. You heard this, right? Our vibe attracts our tribe. So all of a sudden, before you know it, you're sparkly out and John at a Halloween party with everyone else waving their freak flag and getting down on the dance floor. And like, this is my unit, this is my community.
Yeah.
And so then it starts to reinforce it. And then everywhere we look, we're just more people that are expressing, and we become more and more expressing ourselves. And then start watching a lot of manifestation happen into your life.
Yeah, fear. Fear is encapsulating that. And that's the seed. It is the seed. And what a beautiful exercise to ever just go back and think. When I was little, I really used to just do performances. I used to dance a lot more. Man, I used to just love putting on like these crazy robes or like these really oversized shirts with designs that I drew on them. And thinking how outrageous that would seem to you as an adult with a full-time job to do that. Yes. And what an exercise that someone really has to get uncomfortable. Because when you were saying that, I'm thinking about me with like a wig on and like this crazy red faux fur coat going to like Whole Foods. I mean, in Venice, it wouldn't be that much of a difference, but like, okay, Whole Foods in like the middle of Ohio, you know? I'd be a crazy person. And that'd be the story in my head.
Right.
Oh my God, everyone here thinks I'm crazy. Oh my God, like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this exercise? Why did I agree to this?
It's more crazy to do what everyone else is doing. From my perspective. And the only ones that have changed the course of humanity are the ones that have dared to be different. And I think that you're here to instill wisdom and a difference in many, many, many people's lives. And so it talks about it in your gene keys, not to like give you a little bit of a spoiler, but
which we'll hear a little bit about later.
I mean, it literally is like you're here to walk your own path, and it's the very thing that is your life's work, which gets instilled within other people. So you're not at all meant to walk a path similar than anybody else's. Your uniqueness is your superpower based off of your life's work. So this is your curriculum in the sense where it can be really challenging and also extremely liberating, because your greatest challenge is also your greatest gift. Always. Greatest
challenge. And how many of us are living with the greatest challenge being fear of X, of Y, right? And I know this, and you and me are big proponents of going deep work and ceremonies. And there was one ceremony that I did with psilocybin, and I was immediately just the first thing that it showed me was my closet. I go, why the hell am I seeing my closet? And I'm like, wait, what? And then I get this immediate, as you know, it's like there's a wisdom, there's like a conversation that's happening, but you're not like kind of talking. It's just like a downloading. It's like, and it's like, why do you wear colors that you don't like wearing? And then I was like, huh? And it's like, why do you wear textures you don't like wearing? I was like, huh? And then it was like, look at this. None of these clothes, and I'm literally having a real-time vision of my closet. None of these clothes represent who you are and who you choose to be and and remember who you are. And I was like, because for me, I'm like, oh, I can just be totally in my essence and energy, and I could wear whatever. Clothes shouldn't matter. But when I threw away all of those clothes and the very few that made me feel good, they made me feel good. And then my energy changed, right? It changed in business. It changed in communication. It changed in love. It changed in friendship. It was like they're like, why is Christian so more uppity? He's a lot more happy. He's a lot more. I remember when someone on Instagram said, your face muscles just look so much more relaxed. And I was like, huh, interesting. I was like, really, just a piece of thread, but to think what it means, and it's more than clothes. It's like you said, it's that seed that's starting to germinate, and those unique gifts coming out there where people are seeing that and they go, oh man, I like that, I want that, you know, and you have that. Just getting in touch with it.
And I think about, if I was to see you sitting at an airport gate and you're like in your full colors and your expression, you won't even know. Maybe you're reading a book and I'm looking at you and I'm observing you from across the lounge. And in that moment, I'm like, wow, that person is like, really expressing themselves. They're super creative, super colorful. In a grayscale landscape, I'm seeing this individual just in their uniqueness, and then ding, seed planted in my consciousness. And you don't even know. You haven't even looked up from your book the impact that you're making into the lives of so many. And so it's not about the clothes, it's about the mindset behind the clothes, and recognizing in a world where same is encouraged, what would it look like to be courageous enough to walk your own path fearlessly, and amidst those that will laugh and jeer, also recognize that they're laughing and jeering because it's a part of themselves that still wishes to be expressed. But those that have really found that peace within themselves will actually celebrate the uniqueness. And for me, it's not, when somebody picks up the guitar, I don't care whether they can sing or not. It's really not about that. It's that they're expressing themselves.
Same. When people are dancing on the dance floor, I don't care if you're a terrible dancer conventionally in society's eyes. It's the people who do it with soul. My dad always said, my mom was a beautiful singer. She just never knew the words, but she tried. But to see that, just like it was more than anything, just to see soul coming out. It was expression. It was like, I don't even have to be the best singer, right? If you ever hear me in the shower, if you're in my room, I'm in the shower. I sound terrible, but I put a lot of soul into it. You hear me singing 1990s R&B Usher, I'm smooth as hell in that shower. And all you know is that Christian, there's two conclusions. Christian's a terrible singer, but he's smooth as hell with his voice. Yeah. That's all you gotta hear. But and that's why I encourage people, like you said, with the guitar, whatever it is. You don't even have to play. Just give, be in that moment, be present, and like outrageous and unique and fearless, which is powerful.
There is a Burning Man art installation where it was sort of like metal mesh, so you can see the inside of it, and it was two adults sitting back to back like this, or like with their head in their hands. Have you seen it?
I think my dad put it up on Facebook.
Oh,
and he's never been a Burning Man, but my dad put that installation up on Facebook. So
and
go on.
And the two children.
Yeah.
So you can see through the adult, and they've got their back to back, two of them, and they've got their head in their hands. And then inside of them is a child, and they're both inside the adults touching each other's hands. And it just says 1,000 words with one art installation. I think that's when art really has like succeeded in its message, is when you feel something when you're looking at it. And witnessing this art installation, it just was showing me that the majority of our inner child has died and withered away, or is inside of us but is craving to come back online. And we've become so encrusted by all of these stories, because everything's a story, right? Like, I'm interacting with you and I can look at your outfit and go, yeah, or I could be like, what is he wearing? Ultimately, it's all just a story and a projection. There isn't the truth. It's just my story and lenses placed on the situation. We think about 60,000 thoughts and stories a day. We place stories on everything. And the stories that have become disempowering over years of consistency around these stories, we've become shrouded and shut down from the playfulness. It talks about in the Gene Keys how one of the greatest diseases on the planet is over seriousness, and then this inner child is just craving to put on a show and put on the outfit. And this is why Burning Man's so popular, because everybody's inner child gets to come out. Someone said to me when I put the coat on, oh, it's so Burning Man. I'm like, no, it's so life. No, blurring the lines of play and color and silliness and lightheartedness, so that the inner child can reign. And then I can still do my adult stuff and grow a business and take care of my home and make sure my lover's good and do all the things and pay my taxes. And there's a level of like I've grown up, but I'm still childlike. And that is when even an 80-year-old that has that childlike spark in their eyes, they're forever youthful.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about your flesh puppet.
Yeah.
It's the spirit.
Yeah. I believe that is one thing that attracted to us as friends is that you have a unrelentless, just playful side. It is, I'm like, how can someone be so deep but be so humorous? That's not supposed to go together. You're supposed to be on a mountain and really serious and telling me what my future is, And same. Like, it's Sonia, my girlfriend, she'll be sometimes be like, you don't take anything seriously. I'm like, no, okay, we do. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And no, but I could pull the serious card. But she's like, you're like a 20-year-old in your humor and like just the glit in your eye, right? Like the little glimpse, like the sparkle. It's youthful. That's how it should be. damn, man, like we take so much, there's a lot of seriousness to life in the world. God, like why would we want to place any more weight on ourselves when we wake up?
And so there's a distinct, first and foremost, I just want to say that someone said to me once, you can tell a spiritual master by his laugh. So if anybody is like trying to hire a coach and they've got this permanently pinched expression on their face, they're missing the point. So it's really important to recognize that the lightness is the thing that allows every 75 trillion cells in our body to actually start to hum with life. Play and laughter is of higher frequency as orgasm, and life is created from orgasm. If we're looking at a vibratory scale, laughter is one of the highest states of human consciousness. And so it's so important. While simultaneously, if we zoom out on the meta perspective, there's a lot that's going on in the world that is a lot of injustice, a lot of disconnect and division and fear programming and agendas. And this is actually quite serious. There's an awakening process that's happening across the collective where everyone is having to face off with their own shit, quite literally. I mean, it's one giant ayahuasca ceremony. There's purge buckets everywhere. All the light beings are being called to action right now. It's go time. And yes, this is actually quite a big, serious thing that's happening on the planet. What's happening to Pachamama, to Mama Earth, and how we're treating her. Are we disconnected to the animals on the planet? Like, there's a lot of things that are really actually quite serious. While in the same breath, from the moment that you wake up to go get your coffee or you have your morning drink, and then you go and work out, between A, B, C, D, do you have to be so serious?
Right. Right.
Because we're actually bypassing the miracle of what it means to be human, and that we can find the miracles in the mundane, and whether we're making our bed or washing our dishes, if we can laugh with our partner, then for me, a successful day is based off of how much did I laugh that day. That's my version of success. Success is subjective to whatever you want to place on it. The majority of the blanket statement of success is how much money you've got, ultimately. I don't base my success based off of that. I base my success off of, did I like laugh so hard today that I cried? Oh, that is a really successful day.
That's a successful day. And we take it so serious, man. We brush our teeth, we put on our jacket or our suit, and we get serious face on, and we listen to a very serious podcast, and we get to our serious job and drink a serious cup of coffee, and maybe share a laugh or go over the serious sports game, and then we sit down and we type really seriously all day. God, man, like, you're right, the state of the world is the state of the world, right? And all of us have a hand in it, right? But can we just be? Can we just be like at peace and maybe just put on a song when we're making our bed and maybe do a little dance move in your closet or something, How much that'll brighten your day.
Across the floor to a Prince
Cheeky
song.
knee slide. Yeah, exactly. Well, we do. And you do embody that a lot. I've seen your Instagram videos, man. The voices and the characters that you embody. I'm like, when I first saw, I was like, she done went crazy, this girl. I go, this girl is crazy. And I go, I love it. Double click, double click, double click, double click. I was like sending it to my friends and everything. I was like, yo, look at this, this is funny.
That's hilarious. I made a reel recently that was a little bit like risque, and it was 9 seconds long, and it was like, a silly, like humorous one. And it got the most plays out of everything I've ever posted, ever.
9 seconds.
It's 9 seconds. Got over 100,000 plays outside of my YouTube channel, and it's humor. Like, people's serotonin is released, people's dopamine is raised when they experience humor, and this is medicine. So if you can have the ability to get someone in the heart with some humor, open it up, and then douse it with wisdom, boom.
Yeah.
This is a very beautiful combination, because this is why Russell Brand is so popular. He's so deeply wise and rich with information.
So rich.
He eloquently delivers his message in such an incredibly fast pace of highly complex concept, while also being ridiculous and laughing about the whole thing. That is a skill in itself, but it's the way that people's hearts open to that level of information where the message can spread. But again, circling back to that over-serious pinch expression, I can only be yelled at so much by a personal coach on Instagram until I have to like move off, because the message is not going to land if you're yelling at me about self-development through your stories. Like, it just does something to my system that's like, next.
It's funny because I follow some workout accounts, you know, me and Andre, your partner, we're big workout guys, you know. No, we do love movement. We appreciate movement and everything, but...
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh so hard, but I did try to get you to the gym the other day.
Yeah, you did,
no,
you did.
Go for a walk.
Yeah, well, I appreciate walks. But there's this, I follow a few like fitness accounts, and there's this one guy who's like, and a lot of people might know him, he's like a very militant guy. He's like, I've been running 16 miles, and then he goes, every time I'm tired and I want to make mile 17 and my body's breaking apart, I'm like, you're a bitch. And he's like, and he's like, you need water, drink your own saliva. I was like,
you need water, you drink your own saliva.
Yeah, but I was thinking to myself, I was like, this really appeals to like the hyper assertive masculine. I'm like, this is what we have to do. We're gonna do and force and push and penetrate, right? And I was like, holy shit. I was like, this guy doesn't get it. It's successful in the way that he believes it's successful. But man, like, if there was just a little bit of softness, maybe I'd be like, I can run 16 miles. But there's zero, and that's what it is. It's like the people who communicate to me, who are embodied and authentic, have love in their hearts for what they do, and then maybe just a little bit of humor, or maybe just a little bit like, I'm not taking myself too seriously. Watch me do this gym blooper, right? Even though I'm not gym perfect, it looks like I have a perfect body. Look, watch me do this gym blooper, right? I love that sort of, gym blooper, you know what I mean? But like, what I'm trying to say is that like,
that's a great idea.
JJ, right? The energies are very different, and you can't speak to a wide audience in that way, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, humor. Like, for example, Logan Paul, right? Massive YouTuber, started on Vine. Silly little thing, you know, and these little videos just pop up on Vine. People love them. Serotonin hit, dopamine goes up, feels good, love it. Well, I'm going to want to keep going back for more that makes me feel good, right? We're in a society that loves that, like, instant gratification, like a little hit. So he blows up. Like, he just creates a consistency, and humor is the default. Now he has the attention of millions of people around the world, and he can do whatever he wants. He can be a pro boxer if he wants to, and now he can release a hydration drink, and he can do all of these things. It was humor that got him in this place. And I'm not saying that, you know, everybody needs to be the next class clown or like, you know, go be a stand-up comedian, but it is about, can we just breathe a little bit deeper? Because our breath is a direct conversation with our body, whether we're in fight or flight or thriving mode. If we weave through the world breathing deep and rhythmically, then we're telling our body that I'm safe, I'm fine, I'm good. You know what? It's a luxury to be able to play in this reality and this celebrate, but that luxury is through my breath. Or am I, gotta get to the next thing. There's no room for play in that narrative that we're having with our body.
None.
So if we just started our day to say, you know what, okay, maybe humor is not the thing that's easy accessibly for me right now while I'm listening to this podcast. However, I can breathe. I'm a human. So I could spend the next 20 minutes of my morning doing inhale for 7, hold for 7, exhale for 7, and just allow the body to start actually coming to its natural rhythm, which is to be in sync with nature, which is patience. I can afford to be patient. I can breathe deep from A to B. I can allow myself to be in this expression. So then we're creating fertile soil to actually maybe get a giggle in today. Because we're starting to create room for it.
You said something about when we wake up in the morning and we can do this practice. I know you're big on devotional or rituals. I, for many years, have been saying, Dr. G, what's one of the most important things you could do for your health? I was like, where's your me time? Do you create rituals? Do you create devotional time? How important is it to you every morning? Because I see it on Instagram, on the time lapse. How important is it?
No, they're not time lapses. They're just me real fast. Like,
they're just you really fast. I'm like, wow, she really goes through her devotion so fast. Like breath, affirmations, gratitude, journal. How important is it for people to really to get that every morning?
Well, I spent the majority of my life not having a morning practice, and I was the happy-go-lucky forest fairy, off doing these, but like no structure at all. And everything was just like, I had not crossed my T's and dotted my I's. Everything was just a little bit like scattered. And a highly distracted individual. I've always wanted to have a practice. I always thought that I wanted to be a devotional person, but I told myself the story that was just not how I'm wired. However, when I connected with Andre about 2.5 years ago, just being in his orbit and witnessing his devotional practice, like, the man has not missed a day of his practice since I met him 2.5 years ago. He's taken devotion to the next level. I don't even know if the higher word from devotion is, but his commitment to that anchoring in every day. First and foremost, he tried to enroll me into what he was doing, and I remember just sitting watching him, and I'd be like,
looking at the sky,
and he'd like open his eyes and be like, Blue, what? I'm like,
take it seriously.
He's like, go back in. And I wanted to do everything but the morning practice, and eventually he just completely let go of his attachment that his partner had a devotional practice, and he was like, all right, well, do your own thing. But over time, I started progressively feeling the difference it was making in his energy field. Like, he's just so, Andre, like, he's
one of the most grounded people I know.
Here,
period.
Present, quiet. His field is quiet. Realizing that a devotional practice is like turning an air filtering system on in the day. You plug the air filtering system on and you do it for one day, the air gets clear. But you turn it off after one day, it starts to stagnate again. The same with our minds. All these 60,000 thoughts we're thinking, they start to stagnate and create debris if we're not cleaning the system every day. Also, when we're in a devotional practice of quietening our mind, we're putting roots of the tree down into the earth so that when the wind blows, when shit hits the fan, it's the experience of the human experience, something happens out of the blue, the tree doesn't get uprooted because the roots are so deep. So not everything just collapses.
Yeah.
So if we want to have a clear mind so that we can give our full presence and attention to somebody or anything that's in front of us, a project, a book, a conversation, we must have a devotional practice. So I decided to enroll myself into certain programs and courses. I did in engineering with Sadhguru. I went out to Mexico and I learned this specific practice that I'm doing now with my teacher. And I made a commitment, not based off of feeling like if I don't do this, I'm unworthy, but actually going, I do this because it feels so good.
Yeah.
Now that is the only way that you're going to have lasting change. That's why majority of like crazy percentage, like 98% of diets don't work because people do it because they feel like if they don't, they're undesirable. So it's fueled off of fear, which eventually has an expiration date. But if you do it based off of, oh my God, it feels so good. When I've done my practice, I feel so grounded, I feel so present, I feel so clear, that why would I not do my practice? And so that's where devotion is born from, is from the feel-good feeling. But every single day is a non-negotiable. I'm doing, what do we call the consecration of the physical body. So I do mantras over different areas of my body where we absorb information to create a seal of energetic, I don't say protection, but intention, attention placed onto that area with a very specific Sanskrit mantra. And then I do mudras, which activate certain energy points in the body, and then I do 108 mantras, and that is to create the brain to go into beta state. And I use the mala beads because I'm not having to count, which gets me into a different part of my brain. So I'm just using the mala beads, and I go into trance state, which basically shuts my mind off completely. And then the mantra itself activates a certain part of my consciousness, which is ultimately a mantra for taking me to a higher state of consciousness and awareness for the day. I do it every day. So now when I show up for the podcast, like I do the thing, I'm like,
and you feel great.
And I create, on the other side of the coin of distraction, is intoxication. So when you're in my presence, I'm going to be hyper present. I'm going to be fully listening. I'm going to be completely here with you because I've got my mind out of the distraction and into intoxication, which you can imagine is the Midas touch. Doesn't matter what you're doing. It's that who you're being while you do it is going to create the magic.
Right, man.
That's what we want to hone in on.
The presence. And which is the most beautiful thing because you can quickly tell who's present and who's not present with you. Yeah, I've even like had conversations and like just eyes shift. I'm like, I'm that boring, huh? Yeah. I'm like, it's only 10 seconds into me telling you something, you know what I mean? But compassion to understand maybe that person has 100,000 things in their head, you know, or the air filter's not on. But it feels really good when someone's really present. And something you said on your birthday that stuck with me is that everyone just wants to be seen and felt loved, whatever it is, whatever they're saying. Like if I'm over here talking about the stock market or cryptocurrencies, right? And you're not interested in that, but like I feel like you see me, at the end I could be like, hey, that girl Blu is really cool, man. She is like cool with stock markets and like cool with crypto, right? You may not care, but my feeling that I left with is that you've opened the space for me to communicate what I'm passionate about. And you held it and you loved it and you were like, yes, go. Is that not the gift for what people want? And do you believe that's what people want?
It's the common theme. Everyone wants to be loved. Some people have very interesting ways of showing it, but right at the core of their being, everybody just wants to be seen and loved. And the greatest gift we can ever give somebody is our undivided attention. And something that I challenge with small talk in parties and gatherings is that people aren't actually listening. They're listening to respond, but not listening to understand. And so it feels like there's a veneer on the conversation, and it's just a little bit like, I'm gonna go on the dance floor, right? I'm gonna go move my body. There's some medicine for me over there, as opposed to being in this conversation. Sometimes the conversations are super present, and that's usually lasting friendships. But there's a 3-step process that I love to utilize to melt the hearts of anybody, really, is to ask incredible questions. So not just like, so where did you grow up? Like, we've talked about our story so many times. I don't want to talk about my story anymore. However, I would love to talk about if I was packing my bags and going to Nepal for 6 months and I can only bring 4 items, what would you bring? Now, that's a very telling question of somebody's character, and it's super unique. That person probably hasn't been asked that question, and they're actually going to engage in a much deeper conversation with that person. The second step is listen intently after you've asked the question. Listen intently to what they have to say, not with the desire to respond, but genuinely with the desire to want to get to know this incredible human, like a walking book of all of your life's experiences packed into one human right in front of my eyes. You're a miracle, and I get to ask you questions and find out a little bit more about what your lens have picked up from the moment you were born. What a gift. And then from that place, the third step is to reflect the beauty that you see in that person. For that person to feel heard and seen, what a gift you plant. And I think it was Marianne Jalou that talked about people will not remember what you said or what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel. Just go and let people feel loved and seen everywhere you go. And everywhere you go, you plant a seed that will eventually germinate. And before you know it, you're living in a field of flowers. And everywhere you look, people love you and people feel celebrated by you. And then as people win in their expression, you win too, because we're actually all interconnected. So any spark of inspiration that is born or has come from its origin, from what you share on this podcast, anybody that's tuning into this right now, they're going to feel inspired. All of a sudden, they create a shift of perception of why they do what they do. And that has to, by the law of karma, come back to its place of origin of where the frequency was emitted. So how do you live a genuinely abundant life? Go give as much as you can. And that doesn't mean like material things, but that can be your undivided attention, asking incredible questions and reflecting the beauty that you see. And you will live an abundant life because of how you made people feel everywhere you go.
Man, I feel like there should be a podium where I could testify right now because I feel so good right now. I mean, if that's not, listen, audience members, if that's not the truest stuff you've ever heard, I don't know what it is, right? I always say, when someone's speaking truth, you don't hear it, you deeply feel it. And my intuition was buzzing. It's like someone gave me a shot of tequila, gin, rum, and vodka at the same time, except a spiritual shot. Non-alcoholic. Non-alcoholic.
This is why it's called intoxication. This is a gene key. The gene keys always talk about the greatest shadow. The shadow is on the other side of a superpower. So the shadow is distraction. The superpower on the other side of it is intoxication. When you give someone your undivided attention, you will intoxicate them with your presence, which is the feeling of the spiritual shot.
It feels great. I feel good right now. I want more feelings like this. But essentially, it's, if I want more feelings like this, give people that. That's the whole telltale right there. That's what it is. Yeah, no, I've been myself guilty, especially if I come off my meditation practice meditation is the thing that makes me present with people. The other rituals like affirmations, gratitude, they make me align with what, like be aware of what I'm creating in this world. But the meditation, like we speak about your partner, Andre, damn man, both of you, but you just, Andre is an example, because you don't meet many men like that, so grounded. And like I'm like, where does he ask such deep penetrating questions? I'm like, Andre, you like your sauna? And he's like, well, what made you hurt as a child? I was like, what? I was like, how did you? Yeah, I remember. It's so funny because we had a dinner together a few months ago, and it was. I don't think Sonia, my partner, was used to like people who ask real questions. So she was like totally caught off guard with one question, and I could see like she was kind of like struggling because I was like, you could be vulnerable. It's fine. Like you don't have to put on a mask here. But that's the beauty of it because. The authenticity of really asking questions, like you said, you are a whole history of experiences. And that's a gift for me to even be sitting and hearing, hey, what did you do in Nepal? And then, this is the biggest part, like you said, paying full attention, giving your full attention, genuine. Not like I'm just in conversation. And I get so exhausted by conversations that are superficial. Yeah. So exhausted. That I'm the guy. When I'm exhausted, I have one leg on the dance floor. I'm like, that's my medicine. I gotta go.
The medicine's over there.
And I'm out. And then you just see a cloud of smoke in my shape, you know? And then the real me is over there, you know?
There's gonna be a whole new flavor now at the next party, like when we're dancing. I'm like,
and then I'll see you. Yeah, I'll see you there.
I get it.
You mentioned the gene keys. We mentioned it early on, and you just said the shadow. And what was the other side?
The siddhi, which is a Sanskrit word for the enlightened aspect.
The enlightened aspect, okay. And I know you work a lot with them, and your program utilizes them. I sort of heard about them, which is why I took the test before I even met you. Online test, my friend's like, you just gotta do it. And I took the test, but I didn't really look through the profile. But what are the gene keys? What's the utility and really understanding people? How do you use them in your work? Just so people can really get a good idea. And then we're gonna dive into my phone in there, and then we're gonna see.
My cell phone over here with all the notes on it.
Blue's got my cell phone. It's opened up, and she's got some of my gene key notes, so we can understand better as an example for people out there who wanna pursue this.
Right, I'm going to lean down a little bit more, get a little more comfortable.
Okay, let's get very comfortable for this part of the
chat. My mic's still good, okay.
Everything good.
Okay, so the Gene Keys is an incredible technology that was planted into my life. It's a giant book, and in Bali, I remember someone being like, this book, Blu, it's important. And I was like, yeah, cool. So a while later, I ended up buying the book, but I could not with the information. I was like, it's super dense. Like I was not interested for quite a few years. And then eventually I just started opening it and started reading it. And it was like profound what it made me feel while I was reading it. Like you said before, you know, it's not necessarily about the words. It's like the impact, the feeling, the activation, the inspiration that is born. It's like, oh, I feel something with this. Okay, there's some medicine in this. So basically what the Gene Keys is it's based off of astrology and an ancient text called the I Ching. Are you familiar with the I Ching?
Yes.
So the I Ching talks about the 64 archetypes of the human experience, which we referred to before when we were talking about going into the closet. Mm-hmm. You can access many different archetypes. So the Gene Keys is a combination of the two. So you've got your astrology from the moment that you're born to the planetary alignment, to the time, the location, and cross-section that with the I Ching, which creates what's called your hologenetic profile. So everybody's gene keys is unique to them, of course, right? We were talking about it before. When you go to school, everyone's graded from the same scale, but everybody's unique. So how can you grade them from the same scale? So this is saying that like you have a very specific blueprint based off of what your superpowers are in this world, and also simultaneously what your super challenges are. So for example, you'll see within your relationship, you and Sonia, she has different challenges than you do. She gets triggered by things that you don't get triggered by, and you get triggered by things she doesn't get triggered by. You're not built the same way. Well, what is going on behind that? There is a certain imprint in your DNA that has all the information for the genetic wiring of who you are in this life. So when you have your hologenetic profile, it basically breaks down the 11 archetypes that predominantly run through you. Now, I totally understand this can sound super woo-woo if you've got a scientific background. I did my research and development by doing hundreds of readings on people, and everyone was pinpoint accurate. And that was my research and development to go, there's definitely something going on here. It's changed my life exponentially. And so basically what we're looking at here is with the 11 archetypes, there is 3 different lenses. There's the shadow, the gift, and what we called before the siddhi, which is this Sanskrit word for the enlightened aspect. Now, we also talked about before, there's 7.8 billion people on the planet. There's 7.8 billion different realities happening simultaneously based off the lens you see life through. So you can be in a room with 7 people, and all 7 people are experiencing a completely different experience. Every person that's listening to this podcast are all experiencing a different experience of me talking, based off of all the stories they've told themselves up until this point, which then pulls the information in, deciphers what's happening, places a story on it, and then digests it as that's to be true. We can have different lenses on our reality. For example, Albert Einstein. He pulled in information into this life that we don't even know where it came from, but he has changed the course of humanity with his teachings and his findings. He's probably operating, for the most part, in a siddhi frequency, meaning that he's pulling in as a high vibration, pulling in high vibrational information that is changing the course of humanity. The beautiful thing about this is all of us have access, if we so choose it, to the siddhi. Majority of the planet is operating from the shadow. And the shadow usually looks a little bit like, well, this happened to me because of this, this, and this. It's outwardly pointing the blame. It's becoming a victim of circumstance. It's not taking ownership or responsibility. Doesn't feel like empowered. Doesn't even know that there's a path to be empowered. And so it's creating biofeedback loops that just keep circulating and creating the same reality. Now, the gift frequency is life is happening for me. I may not understand it in this moment, but I trust that there's a benevolent force that is creating me to look at the things that are not serving me so that I can continue to weave into my highest excitement in the lane of my service. And then there's the siddhi, which is life is happening through me. I am a puppet of the divine. I don't know why certain things come through me at certain moments, but my deepest responsibility is to just let go of the steering wheel and allow myself to be used. So essentially, I am like an instrument. My responsibility is to fine tune the instrument, but what flows through it? That's the same thing that created the plant or the flower, the intelligence, the benevolent intelligence that created this planet and dolphins and all these animals. Like, what created that? The same thing that is in co-creation in the Siddhic expression. So when I look at your chart, it's a breakdown of the 11 archetypes that predominantly run through you, and the shadow of all of them, the gift of all of them, and the siddhi of all of them.
Ooh, man, I'm sort of nervous all of a sudden that we're going to go through this, because if my audience never knew me, they're about to know me right now. I just have one question. I want to know how I get the keys to the siddhi. That's what I need. I need the keys to the siddhi.
Okay, so yeah, that everybody would like to get the keys to the siddhi. So it's why it's called genetics. Keys unlock your genetics. Yes. Now, the only way to the siddhi is through the shadow.
Wow.
This is the only way we're going there.
Through the relativity.
Through the polarity of the other side of the experience. Yeah. Because how can you hold space for somebody that is going through a death of their mother and genuinely hold space unless you'd really gone through it yourself? Mm-hmm. To feel it in your body and in your being and to meet them there. This is why people's gifts are born from their greatest challenge. That's why I say your greatest challenge is your greatest gift. So usually we'll see the archetype of somebody that has gone through sexual abuse and has then come into a place of using it as their fuel of their service. Then all of a sudden they support people that have gone through sexual abuse because they've lived it vicariously through their body, somatically, through every cell of their being. They felt it. So when somebody else is in their presence and they're really in it, they know how to meet them there. So we must move through the shadow to get to the enlightened state, and that's where the key lies. The majority of us don't want to be vulnerable and place these masks on, realizing that or thinking that the shadow or these unevolved parts of ourselves must be locked away at all costs and never to be felt, because that is dangerous. But actually, our power lies in those areas. So when we say doing the work, It's not about drinking an Olipop at Airone. It's actually...
Shout out Olipop.
Shout out Olipop, love you. It's actually to feel, you know this, to feel that jealousy that comes up, or that like anger, or like what the fuck is this rage? Like, feel that, because inside of that is a seed to your greatest power. But the majority of us do not have the right context of even safe ways to feel these emotions. So it goes shut away. And so we become this version of ourselves with roots not as deep. And so the gene key will address and give context to the shadow. Oh, yeah, I do that in relationships when I'm afraid to be rejected. So I feel that feeling and I reject you first and push you away and give you the cold shoulder. But it's based off of a fear of rejection, which is a wound that happened when you're 6 years old, when dad left.
Right.
But now I'm 30 years old and I'm giving my beloved the cold shoulder when this is the last thing that I want to do, but everything in my body goes and shuts you out, as an example. Right, so how do we actually get our power back to allow ourselves to soften into that and to transcend that loop? Is by going into it. So the gene keys will give you context for the shadow and understand words that you've not been able to even place on the emotion that you're feeling when you become shut down.
I'm ready. I'm ready. It's so, and now I have a better understanding because I read about it before and we've talked about it before. But in many ways, it's so powerful because, listen, I was the guy in school when we were learning about homeopathy that goes, there's no science in homeopathy. I don't want to ever do it. Until I saw my research and development of it reversing tons of diseases right in front of me. Mm-hmm. And I said, it's pretty interesting. I go, it's pretty interesting. I don't know how that happened. There's no physical way that we can measure it, but it was working on some other plane. And I think that we in science are doing a disservice if we don't recognize that there's way more than the physical plane. Mm-hmm. So how do we work with that understanding? And in many ways, this is a major tool, mm-hmm. which is beautiful. So in front of you is my cell phone. And on that cell phone is a profile that I've done years ago, or about last year, on my gene keys. Mm-hmm. And you are going to lay out all the vulnerable dirt. She's putting it all out there, audience members.
Yeah, I can totally do that. So basically, just to give it a little bit of context, Richard Rudd is the founder of the Gene Keys, and he is one of my mentors and a dear friend. To access the information that I'm looking at right now, all you have to do is go to www.genekeys.com. I'm not being paid to tell you that, by the way. This is genuinely just from a tool that has supported me. And you go to www.genekeys, like geneticskeys.com. You put in your information, like the time of your birth, your name, the location of your birth, and the date of your birth. And then it will present you what I'm holding right now, which is Christian's profile. And then I'll give you a free summary. So we're going to look into your free summary, because usually before I do sessions, I do like a lot of study, because I got to read and like digest these pieces.
For sure.
I can do a summary over pieces of it, and we can unpack some stuff here. But it gets to be really delicious and fun. I also just noticed that if we've got any numerology individuals that are listening to this, your life's work is 33.3. So we've got lots of threes going on now. Mm-hmm. You are what we call a changer. And so you thrive in change, new experiences, travel. The change energy is super potent, and that's actually the foundation of the fuel of your creativity. So even if it's being at home and changing the furniture around or shifting things, that's going to keep a freshness alive for you, and it's going to keep you inspired. Anytime that it just gets super monotonous and routine-like, you're going to start to freeze up a little bit, 100%. And that's when the creative energy is not going to flow through. Some people thrive off the same every day, and this structure really supports, but you're a changer. Okay. So your creativity is born from you embracing that you love to change your furniture around, or that you love to go travel, or you like to meet these new people, or wear this new outfit, or whatever it is that's going to support your expression to come online. And then also you are what we call you thrive best as part of a large network. So the best sort of saying for you is your network is your net worth. And you're somebody that, it even talks about it, what deeply fulfills you on a cellular level is your soul family. It's like making sure that you are surrounded by those, like similar to what we talked about before, those that allow you to be in your uniqueness, and they're all doing the same thing and it's reflecting back to you. This actually is what fulfills you on a cellular level so that your service can be way more potent. In your love relationships, we talked about this a little bit before, you've got the shadow of deafness, and sometimes it's outwardly pleasing and not fully listening to what is actually true for you. And so it creates a deafness around your own personal emotions. For you to actually receive clarity, you need to spend some time alone. Solitude is your medicine. It's actually what keeps you healthy. So as somebody that is actually the center of attention and is surrounded by a lot of people that actually like feels really good, for you to actually receive the clarity of your insight, you must be alone and marinate in your own energy. You're powered by your own energy doubled. So when you want to get that light bulb switched back on, or you want clarity within your partnership, instead of like necessarily needing to talk it through, even though that's powerful, to actually go, let's circle back in on this in 24 hours. I'm going to go spend some time alone, and I'm going to find, or I'm going to listen to what the next piece is, but it's not coming from a people pleaser or a pleasing of the external. It's coming from a deeper cue on your own truth. So you don't want to become deaf to your own truth. And so deafness is transmuted by silence. Also, this is perfect because we are on your new set, your psychedelic moss wall with Heal Thyself and your beautiful, colourful kimono. We have your life's work is to live a mythic life. So it's the full mystic style. To live a mythic life means that you have to carve out your own unique path, which is important if it constantly forces you to grow, evolve, and keep letting go. So essentially, the best way you're going to thrive, because also you're a changer, is to hold a vision for yourself, but hold it very lightly. Because you're going to keep going through this like death, rebirth into a whole new version of yourself. So if you hold it, like it's like holding something, but you're holding it and you're claiming that you're holding it, but you hold it lightly, so it's always subject to change, always subject to shapeshift and morph. The worst thing that you could really ever do is copy somebody else. The thing that is your life's work is that if you like it, you do it, as long as it's not harming somebody else, right? So it's your uniqueness, again, is just this superpower that really activates within you. You're here to plumb like to the depth and soar to the heights, but the range on your piano keys is the highest note and the lowest note. Like, we've got some people that play within this frame of keys. You're ding, 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 dong, 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 and like it's the full spectrum. Your book at the end of your life is going to be a riveting experience to devour, because it is either all go or it's complete stop. Now, it's really important when you're at complete stop, you give yourself permission to stop, because your body will, but is your mind allowing it? Because what's happening is when you're at complete stop, you're in the gestation period of the next creative wave to hit. But it's like the battery being charged. And if you don't let it charge and you take the battery out of the charging station too soon, the next creative wave will only be 50% capacity.
Wow.
Got to give yourself permission to stop. So just recognize that other people, like Andre, will happily plod along, playing on these keys, and that stability is actually what helps them thrive. You are someone that is either 100 miles an hour, absolute tsunami of creative force, or nothing at all. And you get to be at peace with that without comparing yourself with anyone else, because that's the way that your genetics are set up, and it's the way that you thrive.
Oh my God, it's so crazy to hear this, because I intuitively have created a lot of space in my life to facilitate the very things that you just put words to. It's so crazy to hear it, because partners in my life have said, Christian, you are like all or nothing. They're like, you are all in on everything, or like you're all in on like a project, or you're not, and then you stop. The thing that resonated the most is that I don't, so I'll stop, but the stories, I should be doing this. I can't be, I have to continue, blah, blah, blah. It's gonna mess up the Instagram algorithm if I stop, whatever stories, and you're right. because I take off the battery from the charger way too early.
Yeah.
And I think I'm moving a lot through life with like 50% creativity.
Yeah.
And boy, the alone time means so much. I've had situations where I lived alone and I've grown so much and became so creative. And then I live with roommates, and sometimes it's very difficult for me to feel like I am in a space where I'm allowing in creativity. I felt very uncreative in the past few months, which is okay. But the changing of everything, that's so true, man. It's like, it's funny, if like I do a weekend trip to Joshua Tree, for example, and I'm in a new Airbnb in a new part of town, my book of like poems and like songs and like acting performances, I'm writing and writing and writing. It's crazy. It's like I'm inspired by novelty. And that's crazy.
It's honestly, I mean, and we're just scratching the surface. There is so much. It goes back to the 9-month gestation period while you were in your mother's womb and her emotional process while your DNA was being formed.
Whoa.
It's wild. If you wanted to go through your full chart, it would take us 3 months. Like, it's
so
that deep and rich. And I still feel very much of a student of this. That's why I had you introduce me as a student of the Gene Keys, because I don't think with this ever evolving consciousness that's within myself and then my projection onto this book, it's always changing. So it's impossible for my eyes to be a master of it.
That's the thing. Like with my scientific mind, I still lean into if I feel things, because that's my intuition. And we ain't never going to be able to quantify intuition with a formula or with a chart or with a bar graph or an algorithm, nothing. And what you read, it was really crazy, because it's like, that's my stuff. How do you know about that? How do you know how I act? You know, like day to day. You only know the Christian who shows up and kicks down the door and is like, I'm here. But that's so beautiful and true. So the shadow then that you mentioned is that not stopping?
Well, the shadow is forgetting it.
Which is so true. I'm sorry. You're right. The emotional deafness. In relationships or friendships, there's always, I'm so tuned into the person and I never know how I feel. You know, I've done so many ceremonies and it's the same shit that comes up. It's like, what do you want? What do you feel?
The deafness to what your own internal reality is actually saying. You know, the other side of deafness is insight. It's the ability to see and feel what's actually going on. But you've got to actually start listening to it. And in silence is where you'll start being able to hear it.
So more silence.
If you did 1 day of silence a week, if not a month, would be game changing.
So every Wednesday is dedicated to Me Day. I've since not honored it enough because I've opened my phone, but I want to go back to having it completely off on Wednesday. Nobody could reach me morning or until like early night or something, and have that. And I usually go to the mountains. I usually go to Topanga or Malibu and spend that time with myself. And for some reason, I felt that I needed that more than anything. And hearing this is like, oh shit, I really do need it.
It's imperative to the longevity of what it is that you're creating.
Silence.
Yeah.
My latest reel was when I went to Joshua Tree and I talk about silence. And I'm like, I don't know why I feel so good. I was like, silence makes me feel good.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
and it's right there.
It's definitely a general thing, but specifically based off of your genetics. So what keeps you healthy? More than anything in your life, you need a sense of spaciousness. You may lead an extremely busy life, but you need to have an inner oasis that you can visit regularly. That's just referring. Also, what's also supportive for you is within that spaciousness is unless you have anything in your home that is not beautiful or has a purpose, it needs to go.
Beautiful or purpose.
Yeah, so it's clutter will clog your energy flow. So spaciousness allows the energy to really activate you as a changer, moving things around. But spaciousness is, unless it's beautiful or serves a purpose, then we donate it. And keeping that like energy flowing through your space is also going to be very supportive for your mental. Again,
validated by when I left from Topanga, which I lived in a really small place. If one thing was out of place, or like let's say I had a laundry basket that needed to be folded, the whole place looked like it was a mess. Yeah. So when I moved to Venice, I threw out so many things that didn't serve me anymore. And if you come to my room here, it's like, there's your altar, there's your bed, there's a mosquito catcher, doesn't look beautiful, but functional, right? Like you said, but I've sort of, again, like when you're reading this, intuitively, like I see the way I carry my life. And it's interesting because there's no logic behind it. I just know what I like. And what I like is being reflected to me with your words.
So ultimately what I say to my clients is I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know about yourself. I'm going to reflect back to you why you do certain things to give it context so that there's a deeper level of surrendering when you do it. So for example, when you're either 100% going on and you're like a wellspring of creativity, and then you're 100% off, when you are switched off, you can go, oh, this is actually part of the next wave that's going to hit. I'm going to cancel my meetings today. I'm going to chill on the sofa.
So that's a shadow. What is what's the other one? The superpower.
The gift. So we've got mindfulness. So mindfulness is, essentially it's a deeper understanding of how you do anything is how you do everything. And a mindfulness around every small act is the very thing that builds the bigger vision. So, if you think about like a mandala.
Yeah.
A mandala is a beautiful piece of artwork. It's super intricate. But if you look at a mandala from the center of the piece of artwork, it's really just a dot and a circle and more dots.
Yeah.
And another circle and some leaves. And eventually it's super simple shape, super easy. Anyone can do it. But eventually over patience and mindfulness, it becomes an exquisite piece of artwork. That's your life. You haven't come to being where you're at right now because one giant thing happened to you. It's a byproduct of many, 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 many small decisions made with love, which has led you to this conversation right now today. So the mindfulness, the forgetting, is a deafness of listening to your own internal truth, is a disconnect from how you're actually feeling and trying to override it because you think you're supposed to be somewhere else, which then overrides the smaller details, which then can create like a little bit of a disconnect and some sort of chaos. However, if you bring the mindfulness back to from the moment that you wake up to you sitting in front of an altar, or even just sitting in silence and doing breath work, to then going into the cold plunge and doing hot therapy, and then placing your intention into the smoothie that you're making and then drinking it and not scrolling on your phone. Imagine if your mindfulness is reborn back into this tiny mundane moments, miracles start springing out of the mundane. And this is actually when we move into revelation. And it's directly linked with your gift to people, which is bliss. You gift people the frequency of bliss when you are mindful in the small moments. It creates a very strong character in you that is unwavering, whether you're in the Midwest, in Ohio, wearing the crazy furry jacket, or you're in LA with your tribe. You are just who you are. And you make people feel bliss.
So more mindfulness. And that's what I elicit out of people, is that blissful feeling. Holy moly, man. If there was my old table here, I'd flip it in excitement right now. But now I have this really heavy one in front of me.
That one doesn't even have legends on it. You can't even flip it.
Yeah. We can give a little kick. A little like testify kick. So to understand then, the superpower is mindfulness, which elicits bliss within people?
Yeah, so your mindfulness, essentially your superpower is revelation. Your mindfulness is your gift. And the more mindful you are within every single thing that you do, the more you activate within your auric field the frequency of bliss that gets activated within other people. It's a byproduct. It's directly connected. There's a golden thread that connects your mindfulness with the bliss you instill within other people.
I see. So the more mindful I am, the more that I'm impacting people with bliss. That's the gift.
And vitality. With the shadow frequency of dissatisfaction, of thinking you know what it's supposed to look like, and then being dissatisfied with the way that it is. Forgetting is the shadow of your life's work, forgetting that actually the most sacred thing is what is right in front of you. So disconnect with the dissatisfaction of how you think it's supposed to look and soften into what actually is. And then your vitality gets activated, and the vitality is just the step before bliss, is the very thing that you instill within others, recognizing that life is my will and there's thy will. It's just not going to go the way that you planned it. It's just not. Can you soften and trust in your remembering on the other side of forgetting that everything is interconnected? The most sacred thing is what is.
When it comes to forgetting, that's one thing I do remember. I think it was with my mom's death. I saw very quickly that the best laid plans sometimes never come true. So for me, it was like, if I want to create something in my life, I stay focused on, I want this to happen. I am like putting myself in position for this to happen. How it happens, where it happens, if it happens, is out of my hands. So I've done a lot of work on surrendering to what I want and what really happens. And I'm okay. There's an okayness with me. Sometimes to the point where it's just like maybe dismissive, like, it's fine. It is what it is. But I've really feel like I've gotten past that shadow. The forgetfulness and the being in touch with the emotions and like what do I want? I can feel that that's the biggest shadow, because it keeps coming up in every ceremony. Something is telling me deeper that this is your stuff, man.
So ultimately how like I said before, the gene key works with the frequency bandwidth. Say, for example, you and I could have the same gene key, and I could be sitting on a lower frequency, and you could be sitting in the same gene key, but on a higher frequency. That is the difference between who's done the work or not, right? So the work is that you've had certain life experiences that present itself that has allowed you to release expectation, which has allowed you to move into the vitality and the bliss, or the dissatisfaction. And so that's the necessary life experiences that seem really, really tough and like, why the heck is this happening? But what it's ultimately doing is giving us a tool for later on in life that we now say, I'm operating at a higher octave because this happened and I went through the shadow into the gift.
Man, I'm still thinking about that piano. When you talk about octaves, I thought about that dramatic piano. If anyone is born in this world with a dramatic piano, you better believe it's me. I've played the highest note, and you better believe I played the lowest note. And I've made some really cool songs on it too, you know? And what about the CD, the thing, the enlightenment? Is there
So essentially...
She's smiling, everyone. That's for the listeners. She's got a big smile on her face. The ones we're not viewing.
I'm smiling. Oh, wow, I didn't even see this part. Okay, so your radiance is also born from silence. So yeah, and your impact. So when you take a Wednesday off every week, your impact is going to be way more exponential than if you didn't take a Wednesday off, because of how charged the battery is. We talked about that before. And then also you have in your attractor field, which is essentially again, it's just reinforcing it, the magnetic field you have around you. Your city, the enlightened state, the highest state is exquisiteness with the gift of style.
Whoa, is that what it says? Yeah. Exquisiteness with the gift of style.
Yeah.
When I'm tapping into, basically when I'm a puppet of the universe, basically flowing through me, downloading, when I'm in Albert Einstein mode, you're telling me I'm Albert Einstein just with a little more style? Is that what it means?
Yeah, so essentially there's a shadow frequency of mediocrity that can play, which says, and it's specifically around love relationships, that is saying, maybe I'm unworthy, or who am I to do this, or like kind of, unworthiness, or checking in on yourself, telling yourself that there's something mediocre about you. Actually, that's just a story. And on the other side of that story is your style. It's actually your style that is very magnetic, specifically in love relationships, because it's in what we call your Venus sequence. And on the other side of style is exquisiteness. So your pull towards those that are attracted to you is based off of your exquisiteness, is based off of your style. So the very thing that we were talking about before, that was a thing that made people laugh at you in school because you wore something different,
right,
is the very thing that actually attracts your love partners to you, is based off of how much permission can you allow your style to breathe.
Wow, no way.
Yeah.
One thing, I never thought that the girls who were way out of my league dated me because I was handsome. I always thought it was because of the swag that I came with, right? I always knew that. But it's so true. It's so true. Like, so many of my relationships started off in a place where I first met them, where I was the fullest expression of myself. Now, that expression changed over the years, right? But it was at the Jersey Shore with like a backwards hat and like red, like a bright red jacket with like blue pants and an earring, and like, hey, who are you? I'm like, oh, hey, who are you, And it's been an iteration of that throughout time. And it's so comforting to hear that, like, what makes me happy is also my CT, right? That is my path for being the conduit to Earth's energy, to life energy, to universe energy.
The CD has to be irresistible
It's irresistible.
Specifically designed for you, the most irresistible way that it's so irresistible that fear doesn't have a place at the table anymore.
It doesn't have
I'm gonna go. Yes. I'm planted on this giant rock hurling through space at millions of miles an hour, held into orbit by a giant ball of fire. Why would I not be the most wild, radical human that plays every key on the piano? Yeah. Because of fear? I'm not gonna lay on my deathbed and go, I'm so glad that I listened to fear and I didn't allow myself to express what my heart wanted to since I was a kid. No. I'm going to lay on my deathbed and say, I put as much paint on that canvas as possible. I put all of the colors. I put all of the textures. And I lay on my deathbed going, I feel great. On to the next.
On to the next.
Go.
I squeezed it all. All the juices everywhere.
And I left love in my wake. Yeah. And I left people feeling loved and feeling inspired, and I used my words to improve the silence, and I did all the necessary means that I could to say sorry when I realized I was out of integrity, and to do what it was that I could to correct my wrongs in the way that I turn it into growth. I have juiced as much marrow out of that life's experience as possible, and now I'm ready for what my karma has pent up in this lifetime for the next, because it's karma that's actually a feather bed.
Wow. Oh man, Blue, you blew me away. And if I had a rhyme for this, I really would, but I'm at a loss for words because I'm overwhelmed with feeling versus logic, and that's where my raps come from the logic, sometimes from the heart. Thank you for taking the time to read my Gene Keys. It was really enlightening for me, but also everyone out there gets to understand me more, and maybe if you resonated with any parts of my map, Gene Key map, it might be the same just for you. Mm-hmm. So I would highly recommend get on the website, genekeys.com.
Go check it out on the website and just read it's free. You just read your summary.
Free summary.
And it'll just tell you in a summary term what you're here to do, what you're here to learn, what keeps you healthy, and what fulfills you. And I think part of my mission in this life is just one fractal of the diamond is to get the message of the Gene Keys out to as many ears and eyes as possible, because I really believe in this technology, and I really believe in a context to allow the life force energy. It's like a river. We've had the river bed and we've got the water flowing through. It flows and it can go to certain designated areas. Where if you don't have a riverbed, aka context, and you just have a lot of water, it seeps into the soil and it feeds what we call the fear of wasting our potential in this life. If we have context for what already is, then we can go way more focused, like laser. With water, if you put it through a tiny hole and put a large amount of pressure through it, it can cut like glass. It's like super powerful. However, if it's just sort of sprinkled out, then it's actually not as potent. So if we have context, we can be way more powerful. And it's not saying there's anything outside of us that we need to do. It's a permission of deepening what already is.
So true. And I have my context right now. You better believe when I re-listen to this episode, I'm going to have my whiteboard open. I'm going to be writing in every single corner, little lines, and goes this, shadow, do less, enlightenment, more of this with lines going in there. And it's going to point to my closet. And really, it's just like, it feels good to know that the things that I've had feelings about and intuitions about, or just kind of like created habits around, were all for a reason. And it was something deeper within me that was talking to me and saying, no, this feels good, this doesn't feel good. Do more of this. And it's like beautiful to now have context and validation and affirmation from it. But you do wonderful work with this. And aside from that, you do wonderful work in the world. And I have been the biggest fan of you since we met and we did our ceremony, and then we're just sitting down goofing around because we both vibe on that humor and being really childlike and in many ways, quote unquote, immature. But it is what it is.
It's fine, moments in gatherings where everyone's, connecting.
Very serious.
Sitting next to each other and we're like me again, hey, different gatherings, same energy.
Different gatherings. If there's anyone that I know I can laugh with, it's you. And where is everyone going to be able to find you and your work?
So I am pretty active on social media, on Instagram, at Blue of Earth, BLU, because blue actually represent is my life's work in the Gene Keys is beauty. And if you were to summarize the life's work down, it's to restore beauty, love, and unity on the planet. And so that's where blue comes from, BLU. And so blue of earth, BLU of earth. And then over there, you'll just find everything that's going on. I also have fluorescence.earth, which is the mystery school that is online, but also we're working in person. That's for women specifically. And then also the Deja Blu podcast, which is one of my favorite offerings to date. And it's just, again, it's very similar to this. Sit down, have a chat with a good friend, peel back some nuggets of wisdom, talk about all the different taboo topics that make certain people cringe in their seat, but also like illuminating it and bringing light into those areas that we kind of shun away at the dinner table with our parents. So this is the place for Deja Blu podcast, from psychedelics to sex magic to menstrual blood to
hip hop freestyles by me.
Freestyle if you want.
We did it. We did do it.
So I got you freestyling.
You got me freestyling. So everyone, the Deja Blu podcast is awesome stuff. We did one show. We're scheduled to do another on your new set. So I'm ready to do it. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I got a new set and it's really cool.
It's a beautiful set. You inspired me to do this new set. Are you kidding me?
Really?
So thank you, Blu, as always, for coming on the show. You're going to be back here. You ain't leaving. There's not going to be a New Year's ball drop without you being back on here. I know everyone loved you. And thank you for taking the time to read my Gene Keys. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. There's so much more. We can just keep peeling it back throughout our friendship.
All right, everyone. That is Blu. Stay tuned for another episode. That's it. Man, didn't I tell you that Blu was gonna blow you away? She blew me away. It was amazing information. And to feel the energy of someone so embodied, really wanting to change the world for the better is so empowering and encouraging. And it's within all of us. So I just wanna let you know, Heal Thyself listeners, you all are beautiful. I got so much love for you. Thank you for showing up as always, rating, reviewing, subscribing. And we are on the new set for this year. We are coming with so many good shows from this point on, as always. Thank you all.